Today we're taking a look at two brand new ultra macro zoom lenses from Laowa, the Aksen. There are two Aksen, a 1 to 5x and a 5 to 10x ultra macro zoom. Both cover full frame, are parfocal and feature full APO correction. And what's strange as these lenses are, they are designed to bridge the realm between macro and microscopic imaging, like zooming you from a portrait of an insect right down to the photoreceptor cells of a compound eye. The 5 to 10x lens even allows you to project a light through a port on the side of the lens directly on the subject. There's a photo and a cine version of the Aksen, and we have the cine versions here. They come with gearings and collars to attach motors directly to the lens itself, which offers great advantages in a realm where the smallest vibration can ruin a shot. We are testing how you can utilize the Aksen Ultra Macro zooms and how good the images are. We will also directly compare them to conventional macro and microscope primes like Laowa's own Sword and Aurora lenses to see if the zoom function comes at an optical price. One to 5x magnification is already a pretty wild spec in the world of ordinary macro lenses. But 5 to 10x is very unique and lets you go deep into details even of the smallest subjects. Laowa showed prototypes of the ultra macro zooms on trade shows for a couple of weeks now, and they gave us the chance to try them before they're released in the wild. There are versions for photography and special cine lenses that we have here. This is a channel for filmmakers, but what we learned will apply to photography versions as well, as they are optically identical. There are two ultra macro zooms, and we have both in a set that comes in a nice hard case with some tools. These are the cine versions, and that means we have a PL mount and gearing for the magnification factor and for the iris. The iris has 11 rounded blades for smooth round bokeh. In the case you will also find a collar for each lens, and they are very nicely machined and have velvet inlays. Each collar has 50mm clamps and fitting short rods. This allows you to motorize the zooms without introducing a wiggle in the mount. This is brilliant, as you can see the tiniest of movements in extreme close-ups. If you are into macro photography, you probably know that you can mount any lens in reverse to create a macro lens. Looking at both zooms, they look very much like lenses that are mounted in reverse. They are the widest at the mount and they get thinner towards the front. The Aksen are APO corrected. Apochromatic correction eliminates the color fringing that plagues standard macro lenses. Especially critical when shooting at 5 to 10x magnification, where aberration compound exponentially. The Aksen series is purposely designed from the ground up to eliminate chromatic aberrations. The 1 to 5x weighs 640 grams. It has a 45mm focal length and an f2.8 aperture. But like mentioned, these specs have to be seen in a different way. The 5 to 10x weighs 632 grams. And the specs show a focal length of 17.5mm and an aperture of f1.7. While the weight isn't that high and the sturdy PL mount has no problem carrying that weight, we strongly recommend to utilize the collars to keep vibration at a minimum, especially when adapting the lenses or when using motors. The cine versions only come in PL, but the photo versions will be available in Sony E, Nikon Z and F, Canon RF and EF, L-mount, Fuji X and Micro Four Thirds. Something for everybody. One thing that seems weird in the first moment is that the ultra macro zooms don't have a focus ring. These lenses have a fixed working distance, meaning that focus can only be achieved in one spot, pretty close to the lens's front element. So you can't really move the camera relative to your subject unless you keep your distance, for example, in an orbit. Following a moving object is pretty much impossible. It also means that the subject size is limited, at least when you want to have it completely in the frame. You have to really change the way you think about a shot. You don't choose the size of the subject of your image by changing the distance to it, but you remain in place and choose the magnification with the zoom ring. So what are these lenses really for? Like mentioned in the intro, I think these lenses are not really meant to be used as macro lenses, but to give you that amazing ability to go from a macroscopic image of an object straight into a microscopic image. And that is a pretty unique ability. The 5-10x has another unique feature, and that is a port on the side that allows you to project light through the front of the lens itself. It is important to know that this is a very focused way of transmitting the light. It works like a projector, so you can see the shape and nature of the light source on your subject. As frontal light can be a bit boring, we will mainly use conservative lighting. Still, if you require frontal lighting, this is a great option, especially for technical shots. By the way, what you see here is a UV light. Imagine you can substitute UV directly to make fluorescent colors glow, without altering the general lighting concept. Each lens of the Ultra Macro zooms is priced at $1,499 for the Cine versions, or $2,899 if you buy the set. If you take the 5-2x with the coaxial lighting port, it costs $100 more. The photo versions are considerably cheaper at $749 per lens and $1,399 for the set. Again, the 5-10x with the coaxial lighting port costs $100 more. There's nothing like figuring things out with a little test project. As a child, I saw The Son of Godzilla that featured a couple of giant mantis, or kamakuras like they were called in the movie. Ever since, I had a little obsession with these marvelous creatures, so to illustrate what we are talking about and what you can do with the Ultra Macro zooms, we shot a praying mantis, here next to my face, so you get a better idea about her size. Unfortunately, she's dead. A live one would have been way too hard to film in our context. While we certainly have focal length in an optical sense, it is not helpful to think in those terms when you use the Ultra Macro zooms. Still, to give you an idea, this is how a 60mm macro looks at the same distance. As we have a fixed working distance, objects are only in focus at that exact distance. In case of the 1-5x, that is about 4 cm. And with the 5-10x, that is about 2.2 cm, measured from the front element of the respective lens. As we can't get further away from the subject, the largest object we can shoot as a whole on a 1-5x is 3 cm wide, so about as big as a golf ball. On the 5-10x, that is roughly 1 cm. It really helps that the Aksen Ultra Macro zooms are parfocal, and that allows you to focus with a precision that leaves ordinary primes in the dust, simply by zooming into the largest magnification for focus. Unfortunately, neither lens has a constant aperture, so if you zoom in, you will have a light loss according to the magnification. So if you want to zoom in while you're filming like we do here, you will also have to simultaneously open the iris. If you can't program that, that's pretty much an impossible move. Compensating that in post is much easier, like we do here. Of course, the most important part of these lenses is the magnification ratio. Here's a quick recap of what that means. The magnification ratio describes the size of a subject in real life, compared to the projected size on the camera's image sensor. A 1:1 magnification ratio is the minimum for a real macro lens. It simply means that a subject is exactly as big on the sensor as it is in real life. 5x is 5 times as big as in real life. 10x is 10 times as big as in real life. With a 10x, an object that is 1 millimeter wide appears as 1 centimeter wide on the sensor, filling roughly a third of a full frame sensor. I always say 1x lets you see a bug, 5x lets you see a bug's eye, and 10x lets you see the disease that that bug's eye has. If you should wonder why we did this on the ground, we simply lack a very stable table in the studio. And as you can see, the smallest vibration with this kind of magnifications, we simply moved everything to the floor. While the f numbers of the ultra macro zooms are pretty fast, the entrance pupil of these lenses is relatively small, meaning that you will need plenty of power to light your subject, or go very close. In our test we use a 500 watt COB at half power, simply for the convenience not to have a light in the way all the time. Still, the depth of field is tiny with these kinds of magnifications. Be aware that the optical quality of every lens gets limited by diffraction when you close it down. Light waves that are forced through a tiny hole begin to bend and interfere with one another. This causes the image to lose sharpness and become soft. To achieve a deep depth of field like you see it here, we have to use image stacking. This is why we have our setup on a macro slider and slide it through the desired focus range. We don't take individual photos, but simply film a sequence. We then import that film into Helicon Focus, and it does its magic by combining all focused elements into one that is completely in focus. If you want to animate that, like you see here, you have to make the same move and stacking for every frame of that sequence, which would take a while for a completely automated setup. As we just don't have the gear for that, I did it manually. And over the course of one night, I was able to stack 144 frames, resulting in 6 seconds of film. That was painful. Was it worth it? You'll be the judge of it. Leave us a like if you think so, and if you don't think so, leave us a like to ease the pain. Overall, I have to say that the optical quality is pretty impressive, and it's fun to be able to zoom in and out of microscopic details. The ultra macro zooms are truly the missing link between macro and microscope lenses. Full disclaimer, Laowa sent us pre-production ultra macro zooms for evaluation, free of charge. Therefore, this review is marked as a paid promotion. As always, we don't have to glorify anything. We will tell you exactly what we think and give you some test shots and our honest opinion so you can make up your own mind. Now, how do the ultra macro zooms compare to a conventional lens that is specialized for macro or micro photography? Laowa is known for their macro lenses, and we have the excellent Sword macro primes that we used for many projects in the past. If you're interested in those, we created an extensive review episode creating shots from the Mindhunter intro with a little twist. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Link is in the corner and in the description. For orientation, this is our mantis using the 25mm sword. And this is the 60mm that gives us a very similar field of view compared to the 1:5x zoom at 1x. The 180mm sword is about as close as we can get with our macro primes. And that is pretty similar to what we get at 5x magnification using the 1:5x. Again, here are both side by side. The 5-10x has more magnification than we can get with the sword. At 10x, we are entering the territory of the Aurogon. In our macro episode, we also have a brief test of the Aurogon microscope lenses from Laowa. These start at 10x and go as far as 50x magnification. To give you the idea, that means you can film the subpixels that create a single pixel on a retina display of an iPhone Pro Max. Just to be clear, the Aurogon are not zoom lenses, so the zoom that you see here is a combination of different magnifications in post. Just like the ultra macro zooms, the Aurogon have a fixed working distance. The 10x Aurogon does have a larger entrance pupil than the 5 to 10x ultra macro zoom. It will be interesting to see if that makes a difference. Here is the 10x Aurogon, and here is the 5 to 10x at 10x. Sorry, I didn't replicate the lighting perfectly. Still, I think that the 5 to 10x is pretty much on the same level as the dedicated microprime. Of course, with a much higher magnification up to 50x, the Aurogon let you go way deeper into details. I recently flew out to Shanghai in China to visit the Laowa factory, and that gave me the opportunity to see and film how the ultra macro zooms and many other lenses are built. We are currently producing our epic episode, The Birth of the Lens, that will take you through the whole process of creating a lens. From the inception of the idea to the design to manufacturing, we will cover mechanics, optics, coatings, and many other elements of the production that I have not seen documented in detail before. So stick around for that release. If it's out by the time you watch this review, I'll put a link in the corner and in the description. If you are looking for general macro lenses, I don't think the Aksen Ultra Macro zooms are a good choice. The fixed working distance and maximum subject size can be very limiting. As a photographer that does bug hunting, you want to adapt your distance to the circumstances. And if you do product videography, you probably want to explore your subject by moving the camera. But in more special cases, like when you explore microelectronics, structures of leaves, or maybe chemical reactions, the ability to quickly change the magnification could be crucial. The Aksen would be fantastic to film time lapses of growth of microscopic objects, maybe a frog embryo. The optical quality is stunning. The apochromatic aberrations that plague very high magnification is very well controlled. The Aksen hold their own compared to macro primes and when pitched against dedicated microscope lenses. We only had these lenses for a short while and didn't have the opportunity to really get them into real-world productions yet. But I have no doubt that they will perform very well given the fitting scenario. I can't wait to explore them further. The build quality of the Cine versions is really nice. Everything feels so solid and the mechanics are super smooth. The clamps look really good too. Everything is a delight to work with, just like it should be. If the ultra macro zooms fit your use case, give them a try to see if they work for you. This is it for today. Thanks for watching. Leave us a like if you think that we deserve one. I hope to see you soon on this channel. We got a lot of exciting things in production. Don't miss our extensive episode, The Birth of a Lens. That will be out very soon. Subscribe and hit notification if you want us to tell you when it is available. I'm Nicholas, signing out with nerdylicious wishes. Shoot something amazing.